All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sunday's edition of Two Guys and a Mic. And this is the Browns Victory Sunday edition. We just defeated the Houston Texans 10-7 and a grinded out type game, but it's still a victory nonetheless. And let me go ahead and just introduce myself first. I'm one of your hosts, Big Sean.
What's up, Big Sean? I am your other host, Ron Pierce, better known as RP. How's everybody doing? I hope we found everybody in a good spot. Hope everybody's doing well.
Definitely a good day anytime the Browns win. It was kind of a crappy day today, man. The weather's been crazy. I think we almost got all four seasons today.
We did, in a short period of time, too.
Right, exactly.
In a short period of time. I mean, I think you probably have too, but I've been at games like today before where you get rained on, sleeted on, snowed on, the wind is whipping around, it's cold, it's nice,
it's absolutely miserable.
It's cloudy, it's sunny. Like I've been at the stadium for these types of games. Anybody who doesn't live on the lake, like people from Chicago probably understand this. People from Buffalo, Erie, they probably understand this. People everywhere else are probably like, what the hell is going on there? But that's the effect, Milwaukee, that's the effect that the lakes have on your weather. Like this stuff just comes in and you just got to deal with it. Like it's sometimes not much warning. We knew it was going to be windy. We knew it was going to be a little chilly, and we knew it was going to be, some precipitation. We just didn't know when, how, and what how it was going to all culminate.
Right.
It literally was like, I called it and I stole this word from one of my from one of my frat brothers. It was a thunder blizzard today.
Oh, wow.
It was thundering. It was lightning. There was wind. I thought it was a hurricane. I thought the house was going to blow off. I was looking outside to see if I saw the big bad wolf. It was crazy. It got dark.
There's some people in the city without power.
We lost our power for a little bit too.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Our lights didn't even flicker over this way. So, knock on wood. We've been good. The ironic part is we had a bye week since the Las Vegas game. And coming in today, we had the exact same weather.
Almost the exact same weather
we did against Las Vegas. The only difference is it didn't continuously rain the whole game. As a matter of fact, I think
that was probably the only difference.
For people that don't know, if you maybe caught the game late or whatnot, maybe had a DVR the game, there was a weather delay.
Right.
So the game started like a half an hour late. And I think once they started play, I don't think it was raining at all at that point. It may have been misting a little bit, maybe a few sprinkles here and there, but it was pretty much dry. It was just pretty much the wind and a wet field, that gave some adverse conditions today. So let's go ahead and get into it. The game recap. Once again, the Browns won 10-7, moving our record to 6-3. It was a much needed win. Houston coming in at 2-6. People may have looked at it, they're not a good team. But Houston had lost to some very, very good teams this year. So this game kind of worried me. I thought it would be a trap game. Deshaun Watson is still a great quarterback. But this morning, listening to the pregame on the local radio stations, once they said that David Johnson would be out and I can't remember the other running back's name, that he was out too, and the role would fall on Duke Johnson. Now, Duke Johnson is a decent, pretty good back. But I automatically figured, okay, we got Chubb coming back, and that'll kind of work in our favor, which it did. So what did you think coming into the game?
Well, coming into the game, of course, I don't know that I say, if we go back to our Wednesday show, I don't think either one of us had accounted for any piece of the weather.
No, we didn't.
Especially being what that weather was going to end up being. Because again, you kind of alluded to it. What are the chances that you have another Raiders type of weather situation? and we've been at those types of games before, so we know we're gonna get at least one of those at
Yeah,
some
and,
point
and
in the
we know it's going
season.
to be cold, but you don't
But
expect wins of that caliber,
vice and
especially
then
back to back like that.
and yeah, and literally back to back. Like that was crazy, all in itself. But I was again with Chubb coming back. I was interested to see how they would use him. I mean, I knew that they would use him, but would they workhorse him, or would they really divide up how his carries and things of that nature went? And I'll get into what I ended up seeing a little bit later, but
Right.
I was concerned about that. And then knowing that we were going to have the same types of weather situations, I was concerned because I didn't see us in the Raiders game approach the game like there are going to be some weather situations we need to be concerned with. So I
Mm-hmm.
was interested to see coming into this one, will you make the adjustment? And again, I'll talk about what ended up happening, or what I felt about if they made the adjustment or not. But those were the things coming in today, waking up today, looking outside today, knowing what the weather was going to be today. Those were the things that I was interested in. And I also knew that this was a big day, or could be a big day for the defense. And I said that even in our Wednesday show, but
Right.
with the weather being what the weather is, every single solitary thing that the defense did or could do today was going to be huge.
I agree. So the game was another one of those weird games. It kind of ebbed and flowed, kind of like the Raiders game. Neither offense could get into much of a rhythm. With the winds howling like that, it was almost impossible to throw the ball downfield. Um, and so, starting off, the Browns pretty much relied on their running game. Um, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt pretty much split the carries evenly. And the Browns started off, what was it, 3-0
Yeah.
going into
But the first drive,
halftime or something like
I think
that.
first drive we went down and scored, but then we couldn't put.
Well, yeah, that's the one when they called that. But well, I mean, it was a legit grounding call at the end of the day. But normally when
It
it's
was
that close,
close.
they
They let
normally
it go
wouldn't call
usually.
it.
If that were Tom Brady or if that were Aaron Rodgers, that wouldn't have been called. But we're the Browns and we're Baker Mayfield, so we're gonna
Right.
get that call.
And
Because
it
to
was
be
just
honest with you, I'm gonna tell you what I thought during that. I said as soon as I saw the snap, I was pissed. First of all, of course, because I'm like, of course these bastards get down into the red zone. Really, they were at the 6-yard line. So I'm like, man, we are right there.
right.
And you missed the snap. I don't know if I was trying to see it, but they showed it really, really
It
even
was
the
weird that it
replay
happened so
was quick.
fast. I kind of
Yeah,
was looking
yeah, it
down,
happened.
and
It
next you
happened
know the
quick.
ball is rolling back by the 20, and I'm
Right.
like, what the hell
I
happened? And I'm
couldn't
like,
see, even when they did the replay, I couldn't see if Baker wasn't ready or
right,
if Tuck just shot it before, or maybe he thought that he yelled hike or so. I don't know. It was
right.
clearly a miscommunication on
And
either way.
Baker did well to
But
avoid
listen,
getting a loss on that play, man. He made a
I'm
great
gonna
play.
tell you what I was thinking when I saw that ball shoot back there. And I saw him picking the ball up. I just kept screaming, just fall on it. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then when I
Right.
saw the play out, I literally said, now that was a smart damn football play. Like
Because I
I
was
had
saying
to
the same
retract
thing, man. I was like, just fall on the ball. Because
I had
because
to
you know,
retract
because
that though, because
because you know how it is. You try to pick it up, especially it's probably wet.
yep, it's gonna
It's a
squirt
turnover
around
waiting to happen.
and these dudes gonna take it back for an 80-yard touchdown on some dumb shit. But yep, that was a really heady play for Baker. Like Baker made a really heady play, and to be honest with you, um, let's say if this was a couple years ago, that would have just been an incompletion. They wouldn't have went back
Right.
and reviewed it to try to
Right.
call it back or whatever as a grounding call. So
Right.
I mean, that was a really heady play. And he didn't even like and these are the things that I was saying, or I've been saying. I need to see what development is happening. I know we always get into and get on, the fact that Baker has had uh, multiple quarterbacks, coaches, and offensive coordinators and head coaches. But when you're a good coach, you can make your impact in a short period of time. What I just saw today, that little bitty stuff, those small intricacies, that could change how Baker's whole trajectory goes. Because
Right.
that's just heady football. Like I don't want to take the sack, and I can pick this up, and I got it, and I threw it. There was a receiver because Landry was out there.
It's in the area. Yeah, they just said the ball didn't get to the
But
line of
that's all you got
scrimmage.
to be is in the area. You don't necessarily. That's why they said it would just didn't get to the stick to the line of scrimmage.
Man, it was
But
like 3 inches from the line of
I
scrimmage.
mean, tell
Literally,
you that
like 3.
we talking about a sliver of paper. It was a sliver of paper away
Right.
from being at the line of scrimmage. Like they were, to me, it was a few of those calls I just felt like they were nitpicking. But I digress.
Yeah, and let's do this. And let me know what you think. So, since there wasn't a whole lot of action during this game, let's kind of focus on what we feel were the key plays, key moments, key coaching
Okay.
decisions that
Okay.
brought about the victory.
Okay. Well, I think the first key decision was deciding to run the ball. Now, how easy that was based on what happened against the Raiders, it was probably a little easier to say because you got a little backdrop to say, hey, we did this wrong the last time. Let's try it this way.
Right.
Also, you had another caveat there, and that's number 24. Having Nick Chubb in your backfield changes a lot of stuff. No, Nick wasn't Nick. He wasn't Nick most of the game.
No, he wasn't.
And he's missed 6 weeks. So who expects this guy to just show back up and be a monster? And to be honest with you, he just showed back up and was kind of a monster. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
So I liked the fact, and I kind of said this in our kind of as we were warming up to the topic. I liked the fact that they stuck with the run today. 38 runs. That's just between the two running backs. That's 38 runs. I don't know that they, Baker ran a couple times, but I only think they ran one other time with someone else that was a designed run.
I think maybe a receiver. It may have been like a
Right,
reverse. I
it
think
was.
Jarvis may got a reverse or something like that.
Yeah, it was. So you're talking about potentially 40 to 41 runs in this type of game. That's exactly what you needed for this game. Now, I will be the first one to admit I'm not lost on the point that the score helps some of that. So, if we go up 3-0 and then they go down and score 7, and then we're still 7-3, and then they get the ball again and go up 14-3, that changes the effect. But the defense played big today. They made some stops. That 4th down stop that Myles Garrett had on the quarterback sneak that Deshaun Watson was trying.
Deshaun Watson. Yeah, because we all knew who was getting the ball. We all knew that ball was going to Deshaun.
Especially
like some type of quarterback sneak or quarterback keeper, rather.
Without their main running backs available. So the chances were this is going to fall into Deshaun Watson's hands. But even knowing that he's going to get the ball doesn't mean we were going to stop him. We talked about that. We know Deshaun Watson has thrown his ass off and run his ass off all across us in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But they seem to be pretty prepared. So that was a huge play. The defense stopping him on the 4th.
And I think that set the tone for the game.
Absolutely.
Defensively, because once Myles Garrett made that play, I think the defense was like, okay, because that was probably the first time we probably stopped somebody like that in that situation, a 4th down that close, in the red zone. And they stood tall, man. And
It's still real tall. And actually, Sheldon was pretty active today too. It seems like, and you tell me if you agree with this. It seems like we haven't gotten them all going on the same day, but it seems like to me we get either Sheldon or Olivier. We almost always
right,
get Miles, but we don't get Sheldon, Olivier, and Miles. We get
right,
Miles and like one other dude. So today
exactly.
was Sheldon's turn. I mean, do you see the same stuff, bro?
Yeah, I do too. The
Okay,
defensive line has been very inconsistent, but that's just par for the course. The
it's part.
defense has been inconsistent for the most part. So, but that
But you
definitely
know what?
was, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
But you know what? I'll say this, and I need to say this because these were some of my observations while I was watching the game. Because, like you said, it wasn't a lot of action early, especially after the first drive. It was a lot of empty, quote unquote, empty possessions. But a lot of that was because we had like three false starts on first down.
Hmm.
We had like three holdings on first down. So now that puts you in like 1st and 15. That puts you in 1st and 20.
There were a lot of mental mistakes
Yeah, yeah.
today, and that's one thing that I can say for the majority of the season. We haven't been doing dumb stuff. Not a lot of crazy penalties, not a lot of personal fouls or
We had
getting
one of those today too. The taunting
unsportsmanlike calls and stuff
by
like that. We
Landry.
haven't had many of those this year.
We haven't. We've actually played really, really smart, heady, uh, involved football. And this is what for people that are fringe Browns fans, and I say fringe meaning they're from Cleveland, they're around Cleveland, they want to hear how the Browns did, but they're not vested or invested in how they're going to do. They just want to be able to say, "Yay, I was there," or "Yay, I wore the shirt,"
Right.
or "Yay." They always have some off the cuff kind of comments when you're on say Facebook or something like that. When it comes to what the Browns are doing, they're like, "Oh, they're 6-2, but Baker has the lowest QBR or the third lowest." So you're not watching the game then, dog. Because this isn't about us believing, not real fans. Real fans don't believe that the Browns are winning the Super Bowl. What we always wanted, what we all want, is for the team to start to play like a football team and not look
Exactly.
like a goddamn disaster every single time that they touch a football field. And that's what's happening. We're starting to see our football team not look like a disaster. We're
Exactly.
we're
And we
absolutely
actually have
respect.
a competent coach.
Yeah,
Um, for one, like you said, he stuck to the game plan, run the football. He knew the weather conditions were crazy. He didn't try too many trick plays. He didn't do anything fancy. He kept the
we
passing game,
look.
the passes we had to throw. He didn't try to do anything
Except
downfield.
look, except for I will this one caveat, bro, because you text me. So you go
Oh,
for
yeah,
you
man.
go to
Right,
screenplay off 30-16 and not on
right.
second.
All right. For those of you that haven't listened to all of our shows, we're still trying to figure out why the Browns don't have screen passes in the game plan. Normally, when they do run a screen pass, it's to a tight end and not a running back.
And then
And today,
the next most is to a wide receiver,
yeah,
not to
exactly,
not to Kareem Hunt, who was a part of one of the better offenses that's ever played in the NFL.
exactly. And you need to get him out there in space. So 3rd and 16, what do the Browns do? Screen pass to Kareem Hunt, and they almost get the dog on first down.
He got
And
12 yards, bro.
right, and we're like, why aren't y'all doing this
Do it on
in the
second
course of
down.
the game?
Do it
And
on
we didn't,
1st and 15.
right, and we didn't see another screen pass the rest of the game.
Nope, sure
You
didn't.
know,
But
so
it's all set up there. But go ahead, bro. I'm sorry. I had to
no, no,
interject
no,
that.
no, no. Like, but we don't. I don't understand why we don't see that, more often. But just back to the Browns growing as a team, looking competent. I'm really impressed with Kevin Stefanski right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that he has the team operating. They don't panic. for the most part. For the most part, they stay within themselves. And they've been disciplined, except for a few hiccups today. We've been a pretty
Today,
disciplined football team.
today,
Now,
absolutely.
all right, so we go into halftime up 3-zip, and I believe Houston gets the ball back to start the second half, and they can't move the ball. Like this, I mean, Duke Johnson has some pretty big runs, but the defense stiffened up. Um, he couldn't do anything in the passing game at all. Anytime he tried to go downfield, the wind was taking the ball. The ball was selling on both quarterbacks. So
Yep.
they pretty much had to scratch the passing game. And they couldn't do anything. So in my mind, I was saying, if the Browns can get one more touchdown and try to get this thing to 10-0, I felt that we would have the game, wrapped up. Now, there was a key moment. This is where coaching comes into play, where I think Houston had a 4th and 2, and they had been roughly around like our 30, and then they decided to go for it. And I figured, okay, so the Browns call a timeout. They come back. No, I think Houston called timeout. Houston calls timeout, and they come back, second guess themselves, and they went for the field. And I said, thank God, you're gonna try to kick a 48-yard field goal
into that
in a
wind.
hurricane.
And it was literally like a hurricane out there.
Right. And on 4th and 2, they probably would have gotten it. When you got Deshaun Watson out there, you got the threat of him using his feet or his arm or doing some type of option, RPO type play. That's almost a gimme. And I think so to me, today came down, and it was some other coaching decisions too later on. Today came down to the little things like that I think won the game for the Browns.
Let's not forget they used up one of their timeouts early in the second half.
Right.
So it kind of left them with only 2. I mean, they used their second one earlier too, but it put them in a spot where having used that one really hampered them down, when they became down.
And the way that Kevin Stefanski forced them to use their third one was genius.
Yep.
When the Brown, I'm trying to think what the play was. We came out, it was a 4th down. And the Houston assumed that we were punting. It was 4th and 5.
Yeah, we came out
and they brought all their punt personnel on the field, and we came out like we were going to go for it. And they had to burn that third timeout. And that was probably with about like 7-8 minutes to go in the game, I believe.
Yeah, but you also have to remember that Romeo Cornell is 600 years old. So he probably forgot where he was. He probably thought he was at the house, having a hot cocoa. And he realized that he was actually in a real ass football game.
That was definitely a brain fart, because in that case, like, so what if you don't get your punt personnel on the field? Because we're Browns were at midfield, we punt.
That's one of the things that you get with a defensive coach, though, too. He's a defensive guy. He's not thinking, in terms of the offense. And you do need that. And you're spot on in your assessment. Like, you have to be, as a coach, capable of picking this up, and sometimes even capable of picking it up on the fly, what's happening second to second. Again, I always say situational football. In our past, situational football has lost us many, like probably the majority of the games that we've lost, because we haven't had a coach that situationally, like, it's 4th and 2. We're at the 41. There's 3 minutes left in the game, and we haven't stopped them all game. Why the hell are we punting to them? Don't punt to them, because all they're going to do is run until they get a first down, and that's the game. So just go for it. It's okay. Listen, we're already 3 and 6.
Right. Exactly.
We're not in a race for anything. Like, at this point, you need to try to go for that stuff. But situational football and situational coaching has been a crutch in Cleveland for
Right. And I thought it was just
I
such
can't even put a
a
number.
genius call because we weren't going for that fourth down. The
No, for
Browns,
what? We were
the
ahead. For
Browns
what?
called that play strictly to get them to burn that last time out.
Well, you also know, I'm gonna tell you something else that is starting to happen. And Baker is really good at the hard count.
Mm-hmm.
So I think also they were a little bit nervous about the hard count offside thing happening. So it was
Right.
almost like they had to call a timeout to make sure that the guys understood, hey, don't jump off because he likes to do
Well,
this.
somebody needs to communicate to Jedrick Wills that your quarterback has a great
But
hard count and to
listen,
stop jumping. Dude,
listen, I want to kill him too, but I'm not gonna kill him because, to be honest with you, the kid has played well all year.
yeah,
Um,
and he's playing out of
and
position,
he's a rookie,
really.
and he's actually a right tackle more so than a left tackle,
Right.
and the dude has made the transition almost seamlessly. Um, and you know as well as I know, anybody who knows football knows this. If you're on the left side, you playing against the best of the best damn near every single Sunday.
Yep. Every
Whether it's a
snap.
whether it's a linebacker coming or whether it's a dude on down in the 3-point stance, you are playing against the best of the best. That's what's coming on that left hand side, especially when you have a right handed quarterback. That's just how the game generally goes. So he's done a respectable job. I think he will be looked at and considered possibly the tackle of our future. I think the Browns would be crazy to not, when he comes up to that point anyway, to
Yeah.
not hold on to him right now. At least from what we're seeing right now. Yeah, we're jumping the gun a little bit, or I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I think that
Yeah,
I
but at
think
least
that
you see flashes. It's not like the quarterback
right,
position where all of a sudden they're gonna get film. You know what I mean? The
right.
left tackle is the left tackle. So, I
I
think
see
we've
and listen,
seen
if we listen, I tell you what, if we don't know nothing about great football play, we know it from the left tackle.
right,
We know it
exactly.
from a left tackle standpoint. And I'm not
They had to
saying he's
go
as good as
had to
Joe.
go 20 years with your left tackle being not 20, but like 13, with your left tackle being the best player on your football team. How exciting is that?
So
You
yeah,
know,
so listen,
but
I think though, as the game went into the second quarter, I started to see other stuff. I mean, I made some other notes, but those notes kind of went away. The stupid punt return or kickoff return, Peoples Jones, that kind of ended up being irrelevant, but that can't happen.
right.
When
But that
he
leads but that led into something else, man, that um if you ask me, I think if you ask most Browns fans, like up until this point in the season, what was the most exciting, what was your favorite part of this season? And most people will say that comeback win against Cincinnati
okay,
because it was dramatic. To me, my favorite part of the season was after, Houston got a bunch of fluky plays off to score because they couldn't move the football. And Deshaun Watson makes this ridiculous play that he always does. He just
that
throws
was
the
a
ball
great
in the
drive.
air and it miraculously falls into Will Fuller's hands.
That was a
The
great
second,
drive.
it was what, third and 17,
Yeah,
third and 16. So that he
yeah,
makes that
that was a
play.
great drive though, man. He put that thing together.
Well, but it was but that was a fluky play. And then Mac Wilson does the boneheaded play when he pretty much Vader bombs one of the Texans and gets
Yeah,
a personal foul penalty, and
yeah.
then they score on that next play. So now it was 10-7. And then
Also,
Peoples Jones, huh?
guess who guess who before you get to the Peoples Jones play, guess who misplayed the tight end on that play?
Sendejo. Yeah, that's the $1 million answer to everything. Anytime you bring up somebody in the Browns defense doing something wrong,
I
just say
said,
Sendejo.
I'm like, bro, who are you covering in the middle that you couldn't get to the tight end? Tell
Right.
me, because it was two wide receivers on
In the
that side
same
of the
area.
field with the tight end. So where the hell were you? And
Exactly.
here you come flashing in at the end of the damn play when the play is over with and the touchdown is already scored.
Exactly.
Anyway, Go ahead, bro. He was
but
going with that dumbass kickoff return.
yeah,
Like,
so now it's 4:35 left in the game, and the Browns are up 10-7. It's getting a little nervous, and we got the ball on the 2-yard line, and the Browns run out the clock on our own 2-yard line, and I'm thinking the first play didn't go that well, and I'm like, it's second and long, and the Browns did what the Raiders did to us 2 weeks ago, where they just bullied the Houston Texans all the way down the field.
Thank God for Wyatt Teller coming back.
Right.
I saw him on at least 2 or 3 plays where it was him. One of Hunt's runs, I mean to tell you, this dude, he blocked 2 people almost at the same time. He kind of hit this guy and pushed him. And the push turned him clean into the linebacker, which he just almost pancaked. And Hunt ended up getting like another 8 yards before he ran into the cornerback. I'll tell you something that I missed though, with OBJ being out. We don't have great downfield blocking from our wide receivers. OBJ is really good at that. OBJ is really good at downfield blocking. So is Landry, but I don't know that Hooper and
Hooper is terrible.
And those guys are great.
Hooper is not a great blocker at all.
Yeah.
But
that was great.
The Browns were able to run out the clock, man. Like, and that goes back to the point where you made Houston burn all those timeouts. They couldn't stop the clock. Now you would think with 4:35 left, you can get a 3 and out, or at least maybe give up 1 first down. You'll get the ball back with about 2 minutes to go.
With the 2-minute warning, you would think, 2-minute warning, so I should be able to, like you say, miss once or twice on a first down, but still be able to get them
the ball back with at least some decent amount of time on the clock.
So let me tell you guys something. Again, I saw a really, really, really heady play in the first quarter, early in the game from our quarterback from Baker. But I saw a really heady, smart play, football IQ play from Nick Chubb. Running, this dude could have scored a touchdown. That game would have been over with regardless. However, this dude just ran 58 yards down the field and decided, I'm going to step out of bounds with 50. I think we have like 53 seconds left on the clock. So once we sit on this, we're just going to sit on it again because they don't have no more timeouts. Like that, to me, is brilliant football. That's just brilliant football. That's stuff that we don't see here. I don't see that stuff here. I see the Steelers doing it.
And not only that, it's just unselfish.
It's super unselfish because he could have just got a touchdown and
he had his stats.
It just kept going. But like those are the things that I usually see from a Russell Wilson. Those are things that I see from a Larry Fitzgerald. Those are things. None of those guys are here, by the way. And if anybody is questioning who these people might be, none of those guys play here in Cleveland. So I'm used to seeing that from Larry Fitzgerald. I'm used to seeing that from Russell Wilson, from anybody on the Steelers team, anybody on the Ravens team, because these guys play in here as much as they play physically, they play in here too. So we're starting to see some of the development, and not just saying that these guys weren't smart before, but it has to be being harped on that they're playing this way. I have not seen we've gone through, this is week 10. I haven't mentioned 2 heady plays, period, all year.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 2 of them in one game that I had to bring up because I've never seen it before. Not from us. Generally, we do the dumbest shit possible.
Exactly. And at least now we're at a point where we're a better football team where we can even survive the dumb moments. Normally, once Jarvis does that stupid taunting penalty and Mac Mac Wilson does that. Normally, it would have cost
It's
us
all
in
downhill.
some type of way. Yeah, something just stuff will start
All
unraveling
downhill.
and snowballing downhill. But we're able to survive those moments. Now, reason why this is a big game is that the Browns are kind of like in the middle of the pack. I think right now we will be out of the playoffs if the season ended today. So you got all these teams. You got the Raiders. Miami is in the mix now. Who else? Let me look at the standings real quick here.
Tennessee is there.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
got Tennessee.
those guys are going to probably win their divisions. Tennessee,
Right.
the Steelers.
We got Baltimore. You know, Baltimore is 6-2. Indianapolis is 6-3. Tennessee 6-3. The Raiders are 6-3. Let me look at
The
the
Raiders are
AFC
6-3,
East.
and we lost to them already. So
Yes, right. So we lose the tiebreaker there.
Yeah.
Buffalo 7-3. Miami 6-3. You can't count on New England's 3-5, but you don't want to be dumb and count out a Bill Belichick football team.
Can't count out.
Yeah,
the
you don't want to count out. You don't want to count the hoodie. So we're at a point now where the Browns have to win the games that we're supposed to win. Like I said, this is a game I thought would be a trap game, and we went ahead and pulled it out. It was an ugly victory, but a victory nonetheless. And I like the way that we won the game. We ran the football, and at the end of the game, when we had to run the clock out, normally we make it dramatic. Get the ball back to Houston, then we got to like come down to the wire to stop them from getting in the end zone. No, we ran the clock out.
And that's
ran out 4 minutes and 35 seconds after we got the ball on the 2-yard line.
And that's one of the
clock out. And that's something we haven't seen in a very, very long time. So
that's
shout out. Shout out to the Cleveland Browns. Kudos, man, because that's huge. That's taking giant leaps into becoming a football team that we know that they can be.
That's one of the reasons why I got to get that shout out because,
yeah, man,
dude, when again, you just said it. When is the freaking last time that we can say that we remember that we ran out or felt confident even in us running out a 4-minute clock? Never. Almost since the 80s. Damn near since the 80s when we had Mack and Biner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we haven't been comfortable running out a clock. There's a reason why every time that the Browns get good, we become the cardiac kids because we're always on the fringe of blowing everything that we do. This is actually a good football team. And it's starting to show. It's starting to come out. And that's what I'm super impressed with at this particular moment is that these guys are, as you say, they're starting to look NFL football-esque.
Right. And here's something else. If Hugh Jackson was still here, and I hate bringing his name up, and it's the same scenario.
Listen, I'm firing your ass. I told you stop bringing that dude up.
Hey, man, but look, you put Hugh Jackson in that same scenario, you know at some point he was going to try to pass.
Come on, man.
And we ended up stopping the clock a couple of times and gave that ball back to Houston.
Come on, man.
Stefanski was like, I'm giving the ball to my workhorses, Chubb and Hunt, who, man, like those dudes definitely earned their paycheck today. Most definitely.
Both of them did. And tell me this, bro, because for the last 6 weeks, I was actually pretty high on the running game. Not saying that I was happy that Chubb was out, but I was like, I think we're gonna be okay. Our running game was not the same without Nick Chubb. As decent as Hunt ran, he ran decent for the time that he was the replacement starter. And I kept saying, hey, he need to keep running. He need to keep running. He need to be the guy. He need to show up. He need to, to be the bell cow. And I know he was a little dinged up and he was a little, hurt or whatever. But I kept saying maybe it's the fact that he ain't getting enough touches, and maybe that'll get him back into some sort of a rhythm. The dude I saw today was the dude I was seeing all the way up until week 4. Like, he looked more energized. And I don't know if it's because he didn't have to be the bell cow. I don't know if it was because Wyatt Teller was back, but I said this to you before. I thought that everybody ran better with Nick Chubb in there because when Nick Chubb is in there, he creates such a headache for the defense. I don't know if they're not looking the right ways or feeling the right ways, but it just makes it easier for these guys to come in and blast through these holes. Like I was listening to Matt Millen he kept saying, oh, I think Kareem Hunt is the better running back. And I'm sitting there like, you got to be out of your damn mind, old ass Matt Millen. You took too many hits or you done hit somebody too hard in your lifetime. But after a minute, I started to actually understand. I don't think he meant that. I think he just meant for today. Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
He's the guy today that's running harder. And of course he is. Nick Chubb has been off for 6 weeks, so he's still getting his pace together. He's still getting his wind together. However, you see the need for Nick Chubb because guess who hasn't done what we saw today on that last run that Nick Chubb had? No one. And you're right. I agree with you. I've been agreeing with you for weeks that Hunt hasn't had that, that afterburner.
He gets close.
He was kind of close today.
Yeah, he gets close, but he just hasn't had that
he was
signature run yet.
But Nick Chubb has been out for 6 weeks, and all of a sudden, there was 2 people on the edge that could not touch his ass, and he blew right past him. Like, you're not going to – like, as soon as he started going out to the edge, I said, if that safety miss, that's a touchdown. And that's exactly what happened. Like, once he turned the corner and started chugging, and I think the difference of having Nick Chubb, healthy or not, he's going to be dinged up for the rest of the year. He may not be 100% right this second.
Right.
But Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb. I mean, when you hear a dude say, I was just tired of being bored at home, like, that's not no Cleveland Browns statement. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I don't hear Cleveland Browns saying that kind of stuff.
Right.
I usually hear Cleveland Browns saying, oh, I got, since I got, what was that? What's his name? Joe Hayden. He was out with a concussion and got burnt and just laid on the field.
Oh, man, don't remind me of that.
Like,
I remember
that, bro. Nothing happened to you, man.
I remember that dude. Remember, he didn't play the rest of the season.
Not the rest of the freaking season.
He hit the rest of the with
I was a season ticket holder at the Cavs. Guess where I saw him at? He was on the floor at the Cavs games.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why when you ask me why I be hating on Joe Hayden so much, that kind of stuff. People don't understand. I have insight and I have foresight. I understand this stuff.
Right.
I'm real about what I say. I don't hate on people for no reason. If I don't like you, there is actually a reason. That I don't like you.
That was so bogus. I was at that game too. He got toasted. Who he get toasted by? Was it Antonio Brown?
Yep.
And now they dude just laid out on the field.
I'll tell you what, it was probably harder for you guys to see this because I've been to the games and I've been a season ticket holder at the games before. So you see it in one time. Like that's it. And you might see it once or twice but they're not doing the replay over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at home. So when they showed the replay again, because they kept saying like, yeah, he's down, he's hurt. So, of course, when anybody gets hurt, unless it's something really, really awful, they just show it over and over and over. And I'm watching this dude, and I'm like, so he got burnt. Dude's cleat kind of went up and hit him, but he had already made the catch. And he was going past him, and he dove out. And now you out again, bro.
For the whole season.
For the rest of the 8 games that you got left. And this is what my problem is with him being over there in Pittsburgh, acting like he's a great cornerback. Man, you trash, bro. You trash because you a trash dude. Listen, I talk about Joe Hayden so much. My wife told me anytime that I mention Joe Hayden's name and him being trash, I have to tell her that I love her. So, Samantha, I love you.
Oh man. So All right, man. Let's go ahead and we can give out our game balls today. I'll let you go
Bro,
first.
I'm gonna say this right now. My game balls are easy. They go to Kareem Hunt, and they got to share. I don't know how they're gonna share it, but Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are sharing one game ball because I tell you what, to get Nick back was awesome. It was great to see this kid back. Um, he just, I mean, it's something about this dude. This freaking dude is just business as usual. He don't give
Business
a
as
shit.
usual.
He don't care about none of your shit. He don't care about none of my shit. This dude is just there to tote the rock. And I love that, man.
Yep.
That is so freaking Cleveland. That is so freaking Cleveland. He just want to tote that rock. And I love that about him. Kareem played very, very well today. He ran very hard. I think that 1-2 punch was incredible. On a day like today, we had to have the running game. And these cats had almost 300 yards of running between the two of them. Chubb had 126 and Hunt had like 104. So they get a game ball. I'm going to give my other game ball to Wyatt Teller.
Okay.
You know what? I said that we don't have, our offensive line doesn't roll great people. Wyatt Teller is actually kind of a nasty dude. He kind of, once he gets through his guy, I will agree, he needs to be a little more consistent. Like I saw him like pancake a dude on one play, and then the next play, he was kind of like, whoa, wait, what happened?
Right.
So maybe it's a defensive read here or there that he needs to pick up on. But having him back today, along with Nick Chubb, really helped our offense. So I'm gonna give him the other game ball and my third game ball. I'm gonna give to Kevin Stefanski.
Okay.
Sticking with the game plan, staying pat, even when it didn't look good, even when it probably at times didn't feel good. He just stuck with the game plan and made it work. And I'm starting to see some things in our team that has to be coming from somewhere. So development is starting to come out. The how the team needs to grow and how the team needs to get better is starting to come out. And I can appreciate that. So those are my three game balls: Stefanski, Hunt, Chubb, and Wyatt Teller.
And my game balls are pretty much the same. The only difference is I'm gonna give the whole offensive line a game ball. I think it's a team effort. With the way that we ran the ball today, Stefanski definitely gets one, and I'm gonna give a game ball to the Wind. Thank you, Wind, for keeping Deshaun Watson in check. Deshaun Watson had been in the league for what? This is what, his fifth year? His fourth?
Yeah.
No, this is fourth year.
About his fifth
His fourth year. Yeah.
Is it fourth?
I
Really?
think it's his fourth.
That's
You know
it.
what? Let me look it up real quick.
It's 2020, man. I think he came out in 2015.
Let me look up Deshaun Watson real quick. But I want to give a shout out to the Wind for keeping him in check because at least a short amount of time this guy's been in the league. For some reason, we play Houston every year.
I was just getting ready to say we played them at least 5 times.
Right.
How? They're the second most team we've played since outside of our goddamn division.
Right. They're down in our division. So he came out in 2017.
17? Wow.
Yeah, he was the
get out of here.
Round 1, pick 12, 2017.
Well, I tell you what,
so this is his fourth year.
I tell you somebody else who used to light us up, bro.
No.
Matt Schaub used to light us up.
Oh, back in the day? Yeah. Yeah, he did. So those are my game balls because that kept, if it wasn't for the Wind, Deshaun Watson probably would have picked our defense apart in the secondary.
Well, you know what? If you go back to our Wednesday show, and I suggest that you guys do, you can pick it up anywhere you want to on not shameless
streaming platforms.
Not shameless plug.
Right.
But if you go back to that show, that was a concern of mine, was having, because he was hot coming in. So having him come in against a secondary that is as suspect. I mean, and before you even say it, because I know suspect is not even close to the word as that concerns our secondary, but as suspect as our secondary, I just felt like unless we got the pressure on him,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll tell you what, our pressure on him was so specific.
It was calculated. Yeah.
It was so yes. It was so specific and so calculated. They didn't just rush up the field to try to get to him. They were creating a pocket where they're like, yeah, if you're gonna throw, you're gonna throw. But you're not gonna beat us with your legs too. Like that
Right.
was like what I'm starting to see again from that coaching staff. Yeah, I'm a little bit pissed. Joe Woods could probably do a little bit better. But I mean, hell, it's like me saying, we should have stopped Shaq. Our center is 5'10", but
Right.
when you're not equipped, you got to do what you got to do, and you just show up. And I think Joe Woods is trying to do that. Like I don't think he has the personnel. Now I do
Right.
agree with you in the sense of, anybody could coach a Michael Jordan and a Magic Johnson and a Kobe Bryant and that's the knock
Mm-hmm.
that's on Phil Jackson. You had some of the greatest players ever. What did you actually tell them to do? However, they still got to go out there and they got to play. And Joe Woods to be able to get, I still don't know why the hell I didn't see Sheldrick red wine at all today.
I did.
Did you?
I
I
saw
didn't
him.
see him at
Yeah,
all.
I saw him in there.
And I thought I was looking, but you know what? I was in it. In the second half, I was kind of more in and out because I had.
But you know what though? Sometimes it's kind of hard because the offensive moves so fast now, getting back up to the line of scrimmage. It's
Right.
kind of hard for them to do like the replays, and then a lot of times the announcers do a bad job on who make the tackles. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, they do.
They're not specific a lot of times on who made the tackle, who was in there on the play. So
I just didn't feel like I saw. I felt like I saw Sendejo way more than I needed to see.
you
And after,
did, and he was in there more. But I did see. I don't know how much red wine was in there, but I did see him on quite a few
well, I'm
plays.
just kind of going off of what you said and what Donnie was. A couple of weeks ago, we had a guest one of our guests in the building, or on the show at least, Donnie Burton, and he was saying the same thing that Sean was saying at that time, which was as bad as some of the safety play has been. Like, why isn't there more sightings of these other guys that are on the team in the position of safety? Hell,
Right.
at certain points, you might need to put a cornerback in there to dog on safety because this dude is that awful. Like,
Right.
at least give him a chance to see what he can do.
Harrison is starting to show me something a little bit. I
Listen,
like him. I think he can be an
I like
integral part of the team moving forward.
I
Definitely
like him.
like him.
If
So
we get him a nice little tag team partner back there, because it's not Zendejo.
yeah,
But
maybe once Delpit gets back.
if we can get him a nice tag team partner back there, I think he can grow and be even better than what he is right now. Because I don't know that he's a great cover safety guy, but what I do know is that he plays hard. Like he's always around wherever the play is. He's kind of always around. He plays hard. He actually tackles pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one of the reasons that they got Zendejo, is that he was supposedly a tackler, right? He listen. I remember when he played for the freaking Ravens, and it seemed like he was everywhere that I didn't want him to be.
Right.
And now, guess what? He's on my team. He's everywhere that I don't want him to be. Shit.
God
dang,
well, look,
bro.
man, you're gonna make me depressed talking about Sendejo all night.
But you know what? You can't depress me. I'm 6-3, or we're 6-3.
That's true. Right. 6-3.
I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that dub. As I put on our Instagram and on our Facebook page, it wasn't pretty, but a dub is a dub, bro. And I'm gonna take that dub, and we got
especially
that
now at this time of the year.
This time of year,
I don't care how pretty it is. I don't care how ugly it is. A win is a win.
Don't get it twisted though, bro. You remember we just talked about this. We need to learn in this specific division. We need to learn how to win these types of games. because
Mhm.
the weather isn't going to get somehow better.
No.
Even the weather in Baltimore is going to get worse. And,
Yeah. And
Baltimore has a more mild climate, a lot more of a mild climate than we have, or than Pittsburgh or Cincinnati.
right.
So, once we're already turning into that, because we're in the middle of November. We're at Thanksgiving. Next week is Thanksgiving,
Which is crazy.
which is crazy as hell because I'm oblivious until yesterday. I was like,
Right.
wait, what's happening? My mom called me and was telling me some stuff. I was like, wait, huh? Next week? Yeah, it's
Right.
next week. Next week is Thanksgiving. So on this lake, again, I don't know where people are who might be listening or who might be tuning in or who might be trying to pick up what we're talking about. But this stadium that's right behind me sits, what would you say, Sean? 200 feet from the lake?
Yeah, they put it in the dumbest possible place in the city. They didn't learn nothing from the first time. You know what? They just say, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and put the stadium in the exact same place as the old one. It's no parking. It's hard to get to. You got to
It's hard
park.
to get the hell out of.
You got to park on the other side of downtown and
It's
walk 2 miles to the stadium. We're gonna put it right there on the lake and freeze everybody's butt off.
it's
We're gonna put it in
it's
the exact same
literally
place.
it's literally you could walk from, if you leave out of the north, any of the north gates, you could be literally in the lake in about 2 minutes, if that,
Yep.
if that.
It-
In the lake, not at the lake, in it.
And you know what? And the commentators made a comment about that. So Dick Stockton, who I love
I
Dick
love Dick
Stockton, man,
Stockton.
because he's old school. So
Love
he
Dick.
was like, they was going to a commercial, and it was like, and we'll be right back to Lakefront Stadium, which is what they used to
Well,
call it.
he said, listen, man.
And Matt Millen started laughing because he knew too. Like he already knew, for one, that it's idiotic to put this thing back on
Listen,
this cold,
the
frigid lake.
fact that Dick Stockton, for you guys who may not know, younger guys, to me, to be completely and totally honest with you, Dick Stockton is my voice of 80s basketball. He is
Mm-hmm.
my voice of 80s basketball. He covered and called pretty much, him and Tommy Heinsohn pretty much called every single solitary game that was worth us watching.
Yeah, used to be CBS Sunday
Yep.
afternoon basketball
Or
on
Brett
CBS.
Musburger. Him
Yep.
and Brett Musburger. If it wasn't Brett
And
Musburger,
maybe Marv
it was
Albert may have been on one or something like that.
but that
QB
was
Brown.
those were the guys. Like, those were the guys that I remember his calls of the Celtics games, and I remember his calls, like, just like I remember in football, it was Dick Enberg. If Dick Enberg was calling my games, I felt like, oh, that's the best
Dick
game to watch.
Enberg, Merlin Olsen,
Yep. I felt like
Bob
those were the
Trunky,
best
who
games.
hated the Browns
Man, that dude hated the hell out of the Browns, and I don't even know why.
because he played for
What?
the Bengals. That's why.
That's
Just like, like the AFC, the old AFC Central was so hardcore that guys that played in it and that are the announcers now, they hate on any team that was in the division. Like, I think, like, people will hate on Chris Collinsworth. I like Chris Collinsworth
I hate him
as a color commentary guy.
I hate him. However, here's what I'll say about Chris Collinsworth as a color commentator. He is one-sided. He's mostly one-sided. Let me rephrase that. He's mostly one-sided.
He hates the
However,
Browns too. He still hates them.
he's mostly one-sided. But let me tell you something. Just like people give, I like Troy Aikman too, and I give Troy Aikman and Chris Collinsworth the exact same credit. These guys have been in the game so long or know enough about the game that when you hear them talking, you know they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I gotta give, Collinsworth, as much as I dislike him, I hate his voice. I remember him being a part of the Bengals during those times where, with Boomer and what's their dumb coach name?
They should kick our ass every year.
What's their dumb coach name?
Sam Weiss.
Sam Weiss. He was a part of those teams. Icky Woods, all those guys, James Woods, all those stupid people that I really hate. He was he was a part of that. James Brooks, all those guys. I hate those guys. I hate them. There's Tim. What's that wide receiver? Tim McGee. I hate those people. Hate them. But I know Chris Collinsworth knows what he's talking about, because Chris Collinsworth was a tall, slow white guy who only put up just under Hall of Fame numbers. Actually, if you go back and look at his numbers, just under Hall of Fame numbers. So you can talk junk about him, but the truth is the dude should probably know what he's talking about. And I say the same thing for Troy Aikman. I think Troy Aikman was the most average quarterback ever. He was just on a great team. He still had to make some throws and he still had to do some things. But when you have the best running back in your era, the multi-purpose
offensive line,
the best offensive line ever,
great defense. Like those coach. Defenses, those Dallas defenses were very. They were awesome. Unheralded.
Great coach, a great, one of the best wide receivers we've ever seen. I don't care what era you put him in. And you had one of the best tight ends that played during that era. What's his name? Novacek. Like, come on, bro. You didn't really have to do anything but get the ball somewhere that they could catch it. I say the same thing about Bradshaw. I don't think Bradshaw was that great of a quarterback. He just had the greatest people around him, and he just had to make the plays. You still got to make the plays. So I don't take anything away from that.
And if it wasn't for Joe Gilliam smoking his career out, Terry Bradshaw may not be Terry Bradshaw. Yeah, he literally smoked his career away.
Joe Gilliam decided, man, F this. Y'all gave me all this money. Where's the crack house? He just decided he was not going to be capable of throwing a football at all. And that's what he did. So, but saying all that to say, I enjoy certain people. Even Romo. I don't like to listen to Romo. Like, his voice annoys me.
He knows what he's talking about.
But if you listen to what he's saying at times, he does know what he's talking about. You can at least follow what, and that's what a color guy is supposed to do. Not a colored guy, by the way. A color guy, the second commentator on it. I just want to throw that out there just in case anybody
got to nowadays. What did you say, colored?
Yeah. I want people to understand what I just actually said. I said the color commentator guy. Yeah, that's
now. But here's the problem with today's commentators in all sports, and I blame Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson for this. Ever since the famous nipple incident, everybody's scared of offending anybody.
Since Nipplegate.
Notice how bad the Super Bowl commercials are now, because everybody is scared of doing something crazy. Super Bowl commercials up, and everybody is shocked every year. I can't believe how bad the commercials have been bad for 20 years.
Hell, the entertainment has been bad for 20 years too.
Right. But here's the thing. So now, because everybody is so afraid of somebody saying something crazy, all of the commentators, for the most part, are these vanilla, watered down guys that don't have an opinion about the game. Now, you do have your A crews, your Jim Nantz and your Romo, your Joe Buck and your Aikman. Then you got Al Michaels and Collinsworth, and sometimes you throw in Mike Tirico when he feels.
I like the Sunday night. I mean, excuse me, not the Sunday night. I like the Sunday night guys, but I also like the Monday night. I like the Monday night crew, actually. Greasy
the Monday night crew is terrible.
I actually like them. They're not that. You know who's terrible? You do know who's terrible, right?
Louis Riddick is good.
So I'm gonna say this again. You know what's
his name? Right? Steve Levy.
It's Greasy. Greasy's awful.
Oh, Greasy's bad. And Steve, what's the head guy's name?
Levy.
Steve Levy is a lifer at ESPN, but he's more of a Sports Center guy or boxing.
That's
kind of where I look at him.
But I love Riddick's Louis Riddick's. I love his takes.
Riddick is good
because I actually think he should be in the front office somewhere. I say the same thing about Kenny Smith.
Yeah,
I don't understand how these guys aren't in.
He got interviewed with the Browns too.
Huh?
I think he got interviewed by the Browns for a position.
I think he should be somewhere in the front office, some senior
Yeah,
not
he's
just in the
smart,
front office, like some
smart guy.
senior guy, because he actually I think he worked in somebody's front office before.
Okay,
Like he's just one of those guys. He's smart. He seems to have just a knack for, like Kenny Smith. When you listen to Kenny talk,
oh yeah,
Kenny is so balanced in what he's saying. Like you'll see Shaq leaning one way, you'll see Chuck lean one way. Kenny is like completely and totally balanced in what he's saying.
right,
You know, it's not about emotion, it's about the game. So
exactly.
in my mind, I'm like, man, that's the guy that you want to have in your
Yeah,
front office. You need to
yeah, the
have that guy
cerebral guy,
running drafts and stuff like that
right? But
because he gets. But
yeah, I'm just saying that like my point is just that now you don't have great. It used to be, like Don Criqui and those guys, they were calling a game.
Don Crick,
They were watching they were calling the game like they were watching the game as a fan, yet giving you information.
yeah,
Same thing with Matt, like as goofy as people say John Madden was. John Madden gave you pertinent information during the game, him and Pat Summerall, which still is the greatest, to me, the greatest duo
I think they were really good.
of all time.
I think
Um,
they were really good.
like in basketball, Chris Webber stinks.
Man, that dude is awful.
And they run
Chris
him
Webber
out
is
there every week.
awful
Chris Webber's awful. I can tolerate Reggie Miller.
because Reggie
Um,
knows what he's talking about. At least,
right.
at
I
least
love
Reggie.
Kevin Harlan. I'm gonna
I
tell you
love
who else I
Harlan.
hate. I'm gonna tell you who else I hate who gets praise. It's Jeff Van Gundy. And here's why I don't like Jeff
I
Van
like
Gundy.
Jeff though.
I don't like Jeff Van Gundy because he plays the role of the comic foil between Mark
Mark
Jackson
Jackson,
and what's the other guy's name, man? I can't think of his name. Mike Breen.
Mike Brame, yeah, bang,
Yeah, but because
bang.
Jeff Van Gundy is very smart, but he acts like, oh, I don't know. I'm the goofy
But you know
guy.
what? But you
I
know
don't
who else?
know, and then he'll follow up with something smart behind it.
His brother does the exact same thing, bro. You ever
Yeah,
watch
and,
his
and
brother
how
go
did
to
his
camp?
brother get another coaching job?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, man. His brother is a good. Actually, Van Gundy, Jeff is a good coach.
He is a good coach, but
He
but but
should
for
have been,
today's NBA though,
bro.
these knuckleheads,
These guys, the last coach that had Houston good, you know who it was? It was a Van Gundy.
that's true.
It wasn't right before what's his face, and I think that was a great hire, by the way. But we're gonna talk about that in a minute because we're gonna get to the NBA. But yeah, like both Van Gundys are really good coaches, man. They're not
Okay.
they're not great coaches. They're not, coaches that you say to yourself, "Oh, I gotta have them." But to me, if I'm gonna give a Van Gundy a fourth or fifth chance, I'm gonna give a Mark Jackson another chance. I'm gonna give
Yeah,
a Sam Cassell. I'm gonna give a Sam
there's an
Cassell.
article out there about why Mark Jackson had gotten a job, and it's a pretty good article. And I kind of knew this. Really, the reason why Mark Jackson hadn't gotten a job is because when he was at Golden State, he's a reverend, right? And at Golden State, a lot of the people in their front office are homosexual, and they were clashing on some things, like on some personal things, when it came down to that. And then Mark would do stuff like on an off day, he would go to LA to preach at his church and take his team with him. And that was rubbing some of the people in the front office the wrong way. Then Mark got caught up, in that extortion scandal. I think he may have been messing around or something like that. Somebody tried to extort him. That happened. So basically, Mark Jackson, for whatever reason, is known around the league as a guy that doesn't get along with, the front office personnel.
But that's
Now,
listen, man. Do you
now,
want?
I
Go
don't
ahead.
think that's why he shouldn't have a job. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
that's what's going on now. And sometimes once you get that label,
But listen, man,
it's hard to shake it because he should have had a job by now.
I'll tell you what, and I agree. That's no reason to not have another job because if we go back and look at what you did at your first job, it's a lot of characteristics that you had that you don't have anymore. Or there's some things that you learned in that process. When I had my first job, man, I called off all the time. I worked at Burger King and ran them off. I called off all the time.
Right.
You know what? People say about me now about when I was working for other people. This dude is always here. He never calls off. He's always here. And he's gonna stay late if you need him to. And he's gonna do this. Like the dude that I was at this point in my life isn't necessarily the guy that I am right now.
Yeah,
So,
you're absolutely right.
so to say, and this is the thing that I always talk about when it comes down to where we are in life now, with sports and everything else. Everybody's so polarized by the one bad thing somebody did.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to give anybody another opportunity to do anything. So we're 15 years removed from Tiger doing what Tiger did, cheating on his wife and getting hit with the golf club. And that was 15 years ago. Do you know that there was people today on Facebook saying, yeah, well, that's what you get for cheating on your wife?
Yeah, I know.
I know. Are you kidding me? His wife got over the shit. Was he married to you? Why are you still carrying this cross or forcing this cross on him?
And most of those people that do that are people that have a lot of skeletons in their closet themselves.
Right. That's exactly what the hell it is. I told the dude, I said, hey, man. I said, well, you just keep living in that glass house, man.
Yeah.
Because you got to let some of that shit go.
And the NBA at one point, so they are starting to regress a little bit. The NBA was really good at one point with hiring minorities and giving minority coaches a chance and not being and then kind of got away from the old boys network. Now they're starting to go, like remember Dale Harris had multiple jobs. You had your Brendan Malones and what's another one?
A bunch of bombs.
Yeah, Hubie Brown, like all those guys kept getting job after job after job.
Was actually, now I'll tell you what, Hubie was a good coach.
Hubie was a great coach.
You want to hire.
Yeah, I was just throwing that out there, as far as like the same people getting,
When it comes to guys like a JB Bickerstaff, when it comes to guys like Paul Silas's son,
Stephen Silas.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem that I have with that. So now what I'm seeing is, and I saw this written on an article written about it. I can't remember who wrote it. You got these black coaches who are taking over these teams. So you got Stephen Silas that's now the coach of Houston. But you also have James Harden and
Westbrook.
What's his name? Westbrook wanting to get the hell out of there. So when they don't win in 2 years,
yeah, he's gonna be out the door. You're right.
But you'll hold on to what's the white dude's name? Who was in Phoenix and in New York and then came to Houston. You'll hold on to that guy, even though y'all didn't win nothing with him either.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're going back to that.
So it's like they bring in
it's
like they bring in the black people to do the stuff that the white folks don't want to do.
Right.
But don't, oh, well, this team sucks, so we'll hire a black guy to say we hired a black guy. And then when they stink, and then we're cap-wise capable of bringing in maybe one or two other guys, now we can really make this run. Let's bounce him out. Same thing happened in Golden State. I don't care what nobody says.
You're right. Mark Jackson's the one that built the foundation of that team.
You can put out whatever narrative you want to. Mark Jackson had that team in the playoffs. Mark Jackson was the first person. I'll never forget this. I will never forget it. Mark Jackson named them the Splash Brothers, number one. Number two, Mark Jackson said, these are the two best shooters I've ever seen ever.
People said he was crazy when he said that.
And people thought he was insane. Now, with Steve Kerr, they're like, oh, the Splash Brothers. Oh, they're so great. Oh, they're so this. They ain't doing nothing more. Now, I won't say that Steve Kerr is not a good coach. That's not what I'm trying to say. That's not where I'm leaning.
I know what you're saying.
But to assume and I'm saying this more for the listeners, more so than you, because I think you get where I'm coming from. So I want them to understand exactly, specifically what I'm pointing towards. When Steve Kerr comes in, he's a great coach. Steve Kerr's a great coach. He's played for a great coach. He's played for two great coaches, two Hall of Fame coaches, and Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich. He's won championships with those guys. He understands what to do in terms of coaching guys. And I think he's in that same, those same characteristics exist in him. And he's built a great, a winning situation in Golden State. So I'm not taking anything away from him. However, let's just understand where those bricks came from.
Right.
You can't act like those bricks, like he just went and picked those bricks and made those things happen. Nah, Mark Jackson got those bricks. Mark Jackson made those bricks work. So you had a great foundation to build the rest of whatever was happening. And actually, Mark Jackson was there when they drafted Draymond too. So
yep.
you didn't like all of a sudden make them that good. They were, and they made the playoffs too the year that he got fired. They made the playoffs
they did.
2 years, and then he got fired.
Yeah.
So, bro, you didn't. And again, it's not a shot at Kerr. It's just saying we understand how this works.
Right.
And you can come in and listen. The one thing I can't take away from Steve Kerr is he got championships. He did get them to the title. So if you're gonna bring a guy in and say he's better than this guy, you better win a championship. But we've seen more situations that don't result in championships than that have resulted in championships.
Right.
You know what I mean?
agree with you 100%.
So that's I mean, that's it. I know we've kind of deviated from people will probably and they're gonna be like,
because we said we were gonna touch on the NBA.
So we still
doing our production meeting. So
and listen, and we didn't make the smooth transition into the NBA, but just in case y'all don't know, we're talking about the NBA right now. So let's specify a little bit more in terms of the NBA. So the NBA has come to some terms. The NBA, PA, the union in the NBA and the league have come to some terms. We kind of talked about this a few weeks ago. So they've decided that they're going to start the season in December. December 22nd is the actual date, the start date. So that's shit.
So now it's teams are pretty much in camp right now.
Well, they start camp officially on the 1st.
Do they? Okay, because I know some teams are maybe they're just having off season, workouts.
Yeah, they're doing conditioning. A lot of people have been conditioning anyway, but so we're at that spot. Next Wednesday, which might be a weird spot for us because we have our midweek show next Wednesday. But next Wednesday is the draft. So maybe we'll do a live show as the draft is happening for the first 4 or 5 slots.
That sounds good. You know why? Right now, because I have no idea who the top prospects are at all. Right, besides this kid Wiseman, who I've never seen play. One of the ball, bro. I think it's a LaMelo Ball.
Right,
and that's it, man. And
it's been hard to follow though, bro. Especially with this COVID stuff. Like It's been hard to keep up with who should I be following and why. And you know what I mean? Like it's not the same. It's gonna take us about a year or so to get out of this weird rotation of things.
Right.
And it may take us even longer if we don't get the right the right vaccine and stuff like that. So but where we are right now, we have the draft on November 18th at 7. Then we have on November 20th, 2 days later, the teams can start talking to prospective free agents. Okay. So they can actually have an agreement in principle, but not a signing. They can't sign until November 22nd. at 12:01. That's when the free agent
Okay.
period you
So
start.
stuff. So really, once after the draft, stuff is going to start moving pretty fast.
It's like super, 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 super fast. It's almost like a
Okay.
pancake effect. So it's like
Okay.
boom, 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 and the next thing you know, they're gonna start training camp.
Well,
So
that'll definitely give us a lot to talk about.
there won't be a a Vegas how they
No
had
summer league.
the summer league in Vegas. There won't be a summer league in Vegas, and there also, dig this, won't be an All-Star game. The last I heard.
Well, that makes sense.
So because they're trying to compress everything and push
Yeah.
everything into a small window. So it's interesting to look at it. It's weird on paper, and I think it's gonna be weirder once it starts to play out. Like I just think guys are, if you think or disagree with or consider load management an issue, you probably gonna have an issue with this season because
Because I
I can
can't
see.
stand low, man. I don't want to get all off in that right now.
I
But
just
I can't
don't
stand
see
low
guys
management.
playing. I don't see guys playing all season, and in some cases I can't blame them, especially. And I'm usually pretty hard on LeBron, but a guy like LeBron who's going to be 36 a week after the season starts, I don't care what he spends on his body. I don't care what time he spends with. He's 36.
Yeah, and he's one of the guys that really doesn't do load management.
Well,
He'll take a game here and there. Now he'll actually do load management on the court. He'll play and take that game off. That would believe he out there. I give him credit for that.
Hey, man, listen. My partner, I'm gonna tell y'all something right now, man. My partner just said probably the best. What we on? We on episode 17. I might end this whole damn podcast right now. That is the best comment that has happened on this show. It is the best comment.
When we saw it for 11 years, we dealt with LeBron for 11 years, and we saw it.
Bro, I've been saying it. I've been trying to force other people to understand it, but nobody wants to hear it because people already know me coming in. I'm not necessarily a LeBron-aholic.
Right.
So people are like, "Oh, you just hate," and that's just it. The truth is, LeBron takes plays off. I've been sitting in the stands watching LeBron stand.
LeBron takes games off. Like some of those games you see in the stat line where he may have a triple double, but it's like one of them 19 point, 10 rebound, 10 assist triple doubles.
Bro, I've watched LeBron.
He took off. But that's kind of a tribute to his greatness, though. That he can take a game off and still get a triple double.
Well, I mean, the way that the game is played right now is so wide open. It's a little bit easier. It's slightly easier to pull that off. And I don't want to get into the whole, like I'm taking things away from LeBron.
Right.
Because I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm trying to do. However, I agree that he, definitely, I think he's a stat patter. And I think at certain points, once he gets certain stats, he just kind of, we're only playing Orlando. So,
right.
And we're 10 games in first place. So, and that's it. And nobody wants to admit that. That's what happens. I've watched this guy stand in a corner and not move in games.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this guy jog up the floor on a fast break. Jog, not run. Jog. It's a fast break, but he's jogging. And I don't mean like, oh, well, because listen, I played basketball before. And trust me, when you back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth,
you got to
everybody gets tired. Listen, everybody gets tired. He wasn't tired.
The crazy part is that I pretty much watched when LeBron James was a Cavalier. I probably saw 97%.
I probably saw 99%.
I saw about 97. And you knew within the first 5 minutes of the game
what was going to happen.
LeBron James you was getting. And it always was against a team, like you said, Orlando, Phoenix, some game that we ain't had no business losing, and we get blown out by halftime, and Austin Carr's having a fit, and he couldn't say what he wanted to say. You know, he couldn't say what he wanted to say, and here we go. And then we everybody pissed off because we blown, because the Cavs could have easily won. LeBron James was here. The Cavaliers should have won about 65 ball games every
year.
season. But he
Every
took
year.
he
I mean,
took
it was
about
the East,
15. LeBron would take about 15 games off a year.
and it was the
Easily.
East, so you could take those games off, and then you had games where he was like, "Oh, my finger hurts, so I'm out for like 5 games."
Yeah.
Your finger hurt. Kobe played with a broke finger. Your finger hurts. What's wrong with it?
Nothing.
Remember the infamous bad elbow that caused him to have to shoot the free throw left-handed against Boston? What the?
That's on his way out too. Yeah.
I mean, come on, bro. Like,
Right.
I've seen that stuff, and when I bring that stuff up, people act like, oh no, that ain't really happened. Yes, it did. It happened. And let's just call a spade a spade. It happened. I'm not happy about it. He's probably not super happy about it. I mean, if you go back and look at yourself, the stuff that you might have done or said to people, and people bring it up again, you be like, yeah, that was awesome. I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that. And you just tuck it in. Not this guy or his fans. His fans, to me, LeBron is like Trump. He was the first Trump. It ain't LeBron that I got the issue with. I got an issue with his doggone people, his followers, the people that just,
Right.
no matter what he does, he can't mishandle this situation. He can't do this wrong. And if you think he did this wrong, then you are just a hater. I'm not no hater. I've been watching basketball and living and watching sports and understanding what these things are for too long to just assume that because this dude showed up and you like him and he's from 35 minutes away from where you grew up at, that he's somehow, like, it's the same thing. Oh, he's from Cleveland. No, he's not. And that's not a hater thing. He's not from Cleveland. Ask LeBron where he's from, and let's see if he says Cleveland.
Exactly.
Ready? Y'all ready? You know what he's gonna say? I had the pair of shoes that had Akron on the inside of them.
Right. Because he hated when people said he was from Cleveland. He couldn't stand it.
Listen, have you ever met a person from Akron? Tell me a person from Akron who just says, I'm from Cleveland. It ain't one. They actually kind of loathe Cleveland because they like our little brothers.
Right.
Everybody plays them. Like when you come to Cleveland and you say, oh, I'm from Akron, and you're not LeBron James, stand down, homie, because you don't know nothing about this. And that's how it goes down. So those guys understood that. They got that. Trust me, they've been in plenty of tournaments and stuff like that where that probably happened to them. Also,
right, of course. And I think, and without having proof, I think that's why LeBron never embraced the city fully when he was here. And when people look back on it, you point out some things, then they finally get like LeBron never did any local interviews with local media here.
Nope.
None. Not on the radio, not on the television.
Nope.
I think maybe when he first got drafted, he may have did the local media, maybe. But after that, he never did any local, like anytime he did a charity event, it was always an
and I'm okay with that. Listen, I'm from Cleveland.
Fine. You're right.
I'm from Cleveland. So guess what? If I were famous, if I were in his exact shoes, what shirt do I have on? I'm sorry. Let me move my microphone out the way. What does my shirt say? My shirt says Cleveland. What? Let me move out the way so you can see that. What does that say? Cleveland. You know why? Because I'm from Cleveland. Everywhere I've ever been in my life, the one thing that everybody knows about me is that I'm from Cleveland. That's what I say. That's how I move. It's not any second guessing. Don't ever question where I'm from. I'm from Cleveland, fool. And that's how I'm coming at you. So I'm not upset at this guy for suggesting that I'm from Akron and this is who I am. No, that's fine, bro. I'm not upset at that. I'm more upset at the people who try to make it like he's just from here. No, he's not. He got a different area code, number one. Number two, to get to his house, it takes a whole, once I get outside of the city limits of Cleveland, it takes an entire 30 minutes to get to where he's from. He's not from here. And I've had that discussion with people way before LeBron was even on anybody's radar. I was in the military, and I remember this young lady telling me she was from Cleveland. And I said, oh, what part of Cleveland are you from? And she said, I'm from Brecksville. And I said,
Well, you can't hold on.
That's
Hold
not
on.
Cleveland. That's not Cleveland.
You know what? Hold on.
It's not Cleveland.
I thought like being from Cleveland, if you were from Cuyahoga County, you can claim Cleveland. So what's the cutoff point? Because everybody's gonna say something different.
Here's the cutoff. Where are you from? That's it. That's the cutoff. Where are you from? Just tell me where you're from. You can't say I'm from Cleveland, and then I start asking you stuff about Cleveland, and you're like, oh, well, I'm not really from Cleveland. I'm from Brecksville. Well, if you're not really from Cleveland, you're not from Cleveland. You're from Brecksville. You prefer to be in Brecksville. So say you're from Brecksville. I'm fine with that. Now, if you say you're from the Cleveland area, or I'm from Brecksville, which is right outside of Cleveland, I'm fine with that. Or I'm from Aurora. Aurora ain't Cleveland.
Right. Well,
That's
because
not Cleveland.
if somebody's from Shaker,
Bro,
they're gonna say Cleveland.
you
Cleveland
know what I
Heights.
say? You know what I
Cleveland.
said? You know what I would say if I was from Warrensville? I'm from Warrensville. I'm not from Warrensville. I was born and raised in Cleveland. I moved to Warrensville afterwards.
Because
So,
here's the thing, because when you go out of town and people don't know Warrensville Heights,
so what?
you're gonna say that's Cleveland.
So what? If you from, I had people tell me that they were from outside of every city I've ever heard of. My boy didn't tell me he was from Chicago. He said, man, I came here from Elmira. I ain't know where Elmira
Well, that's
was.
different. Well, see, it's like, all right, here's one thing I learned when I went to school down in Alabama. Depending on what city you're from, determines what you can claim in the surrounding area of the city, right?
Absolutely.
So everybody from Cleveland, when we were down there, like Cleveland was one of the few cities in Alabama City that didn't hang in the clique. Like Detroit, Chicago, Miami, all those cats kind of hung in the clique. Cleveland, we kind of did our own thing, right? So if we bump into somebody else from Cleveland, they'd be like, well, you from Cleveland? It's like, yeah. They'd be like, well, what part? Somebody be like, oh, Garfield. I'm from 116th. I'm from Cleveland Heights. Whatever. It wasn't no static. Now, if it was somebody out like Lorraine or Avon,
come on, bro.
or
That's
Medina,
all I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Look,
you couldn't claim it. Now, the cats from Detroit and Chicago, unless you were in the city limits of Detroit, if you claimed anything outside of that and you said you live anywhere and you said you was from Detroit, they would give you a hard time. They would put you on blast and pretty much like ostracize you. Like,
no, Chicago don't play that.
Yeah, like if you live in Sterling Heights or
if you from Southfield, you from Southfield, homie. You're not from Detroit.
Southfield, they gave some Southfield cats like a pass, kind of,
because they right past 8 Mile.
Right there.
That's the only reason why.
Right.
That's the only reason why.
And maybe if you was from like Dearborn, maybe, but like but if you was from
Pontiac, no, you from Pontiac.
You couldn't Flint or something like that. No, like Chicago, you couldn't be from Evanston. You couldn't be from.
Man, you can't be from Kankakee. You can't be from Kankakee. You from Kankakee, bro?
And that's my point. Where Cleveland, because the way our city is set up, is a little bit different. So like, Warrensville ain't that much different than the city. You know what I'm saying? It's an inner ring suburb. It really ain't no suburb no more. It's urban. Maple Heights, Bedford, you still in the city. So that's why I was saying, like, technically you don't live in Cleveland, but you You from there? Because
But
most
I'm
people that live
from
in the
no,
suburbs.
no.
Yeah,
See, see
so
here,
like
and
most of
here's
us that live out there, we was born in the city and we moved out at some point.
here's what I'm saying. I wasn't just born in the city. I lived in the city.
Right.
I existed in the city. Um,
I
but
get, I get what you're saying. I
these
think we kind
folks,
of on the same page.
these folks that were from, or this person that was from Brecksville. I had someone from Brunswick as well tell me that they were from Cleveland, and I was like, okay, well, what part? And they said
Yeah,
Brunswick. And
they'll call it the South Side. That's
I'm
how.
like, that's
Right.
not Brunswick. Don't have shit to do. So when did you come into the? Oh well, I don't know anything. Okay, well then you're not from freaking Cleveland.
You know what? And I'm gonna say this, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this. Um, some of our Caucasian white brethren look at the metro area of a place differently than we do.
Like if you ain't
That's why
Brunswick, I
that's why
agree.
you get that.
I
Because I
agree.
had somebody tell me when I was doing Uber, and he was like, "Yeah, I live on the west side," and I'm like, "On the west side? Like where on the west side, Lorraine?" I'm like, "That ain't the west side. That's Lorraine.
That's
Like you
Lorraine. That's
whole nother county."
you pass Avon, you pass Elyria, you in Lorraine.
Right. But I noticed that most people that because they identify with the larger metropolitan area that they're close to.
I
Because it's
listen,
easier, because for some people it's easier. Like when you go out of town, it's easier to explain
just
where
tell
you're
me where
from.
you from, man, or where you
Right.
from, dog. Because my thing is this: if it all goes down, don't act like today you're not from Cleveland.
I know what you're
Well,
saying.
if it
And
goes
I
down in
think
Cleveland,
and I
don't act
think
like
me
you
and
ain't from
you,
Cleveland.
I think we're on the same page with
Yeah,
this.
no, me and you are
We
actually.
are,
As
you
you
know.
as you continued to talk, I was like, okay, he get it, because that's exactly what it was. And I'm never like a jackass. Now, there were people who were a jackass to me. Like they did this whole, because I told him, I said, hey, listen, I was born and raised in Cleveland, but I came to the Air Force from Orangeville.
Right.
Uh, that's where I was at. And then I moved there with my grandmother on Woodland, down the way. But I only moved there because I just couldn't, at the time, I couldn't get along with my parents. I was, 18, 19 years old. You know, you, I'm trying to grow up. They trying to, continue to run everything I do. So we were always in some level of conflict at that time.
Right.
So going to the service was my way out and my way to grow up on my own. And then, I get to Alaska and they were like, yo, where you from? And they had this test. They had this whole test set up. And they would ask you, yo, are you from Cleveland? Yeah, I'm from Cleveland. My boy had hooked me up with one of the homegirls, one of the local homegirls, my homegirl April.
Mm-hmm.
And I called her and was talking to her, and she had me on, like, this was back in the day, three-way with
I was trying to set you up, huh?
some other cats that was from Cleveland. So they wanted to
Okay.
know, they wanted to do like this Cleveland check-in type joint because of the same stuff that I'm telling you about right now. There was
Right.
people who was coming in and they from, Medina, talking about they from Cleveland. And no, you're not. You're not from Cleveland. If you're from Medina, you are not from Cleveland. That's not the same.
Right.
So they would ask you these questions like, so what's a Polish boy? And that was the easiest question. I'm like, what's a Polish boy? Yeah, that's this. I'm not gonna tell people what it is because if you're from Cleveland, you already know what a Polish boy is.
Exactly.
So I'm like, yeah, this. So they're like, all right, bet. So what's on the corner of 131st and Harvard? And you have to, or they wanted you to
What is on the corner of 131st and Harvard?
see, you would have
It's
loved.
just two gas stations.
See, but that helps because you at least know that there's a gas station. So now they're like, okay, and what else? Now I've hung out over there. My first wife was from over there. So guess
Okay.
what? I've caught the 15 and the 19 over there. over that way. So once I said that, they were actually fine with that. Because I was like, yeah, it's 15 to 19 is over there. You got the barbecue spot. You also got the hardware store in the one corner. It was like, damn, all right. No, he good.
Right.
No, he good. He all right. He's straight. But it's that kind of stuff that ends up happening that people, at times, people just, my thing is, I'm from here. I'm never going to
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm never going to misrepresent me. I'm never going to tell you I'm Jewish because I'm a Christian. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to give you half of this. I'm a
Rachel
Christian.
Dolezal, huh?
Yeah, man. This is what I am. This is who I'm going to be. I'm from Cleveland, and that's one of the things. Like one of my homeboys I was in the Air Force with. He said, "Man, I've seen people from Chicago. I've seen people from L.A., New York, Miami, and they've been so proud to be from those spots." He said, "I ain't never seen nobody as proud as you are to be from Cleveland." He said, "I've never seen it before, ever." Because everything out of my mouth was, "We don't do that in Cleveland," or "I'm from Cleveland, I don't do that shit." Like that was always,
right.
It was always framed around me being from Cleveland. So one of the things about this show that I've always, like my thought process about the show was always, there's probably only a handful of guys that I know who hold Cleveland that same way for no reason.
Yeah, I caught the same flack when I was in college. Like they would be like, "Man, what is it about you and your city?" And I was like, "Man, because everybody else made fun of us, so I got to
taking it.
hold this
like,
up."
listen, I'm not taking it.
And
I
then,
get
and then
mad when
about
people from here go somewhere else and be like, "Oh yeah, it's so much better over here." Man, shut your ass up.
right. And then after a while, I got respect for that. I was like, okay,
absolutely.
You hold your
That's
city
what
down, you hold your teams down.
they tell me all the time. They like, bro, they used to call me the ambassador. They used to send people to me. I heard this dude from Cleveland, man, you need to go see this guy. Like that was what they did. I still, to this day, I've been out in service almost 30 years. 30 years of active duty. I have guys, it's been 25 years active. I've been out active. I have people saying, anytime I hear anything about Cleveland, you are the person I think about. I'm like, that's crazy as hell. Like that's crazy to be the guy that all these guys consider when they think about Cleveland. But that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show, because I think this show represents that angle, that aspect, that small guy thing. We don't have corporate sponsors, so I can say Baker sucks. We don't have corporate sponsors.
We're not holding to nobody.
So I can say, Kevin Porter Jr. might be the dumbest dude I've ever met in my life, because why the hell do you got your gun loaded in your car and you high and potentially are sleepy? You got to, you just got to think it through. And I can say that and nobody gets to watch it. Like tomorrow, I'm not getting an email from anyone. You know why? Because it's my damn show. I'm not going to email myself.
Right.
And look, if Sean says Kevin Porter Jr. is the dumbest dude that I've ever seen, you know what I'm going to say? That's just Sean. Sean doing Sean.
And speaking of Kevin Porter Jr., man, the thing that worried me most about him is I saw a lot of shades of J.R. Smith in him. Well, young JR, not just current generation of JR, but young JR. So somebody hopefully they can hone him in, because as we talked about last week, he's the key to this rebuild. Without Kevin Porter Jr., we have no rebuild.
I think he's
for right now.
I think he's the big brick. Like he's the big brick. He's the brick that if you don't have him, I'm not really sure what you have. Because he's the only, first of all, he's the only guy that's size-wise worth talking about. Sexton is 6'2". Uh,
They
what's the other
claim
kid?
Garland is 6'1", but he ain't. Garland about 5'10",
Garland like my height. He 5'10", 5'11" ish.
about a
So,
buck 75.
well,
Like
if you
so
measure
short.
him from his afro, also if you measure him from his Mace Window
Ah,
guard,
the draft day suit.
yeah,
Wow.
he might possibly be 6 foot because
Right.
the force was with him that day. Um,
Well,
but those guys are small. You actually have a guy that can cover the wing. He's got a lot of upside. So I like BJ Bickerstaff. I think he can potentially have again a huge brick in the foundation of
well,
of
and
us.
let's just hope. It's one incident. Kid is what, 20? He might not even be 20 years
You know
old.
what? The only problem I got is this ain't his first incident. It's his
No, it's
first
not.
incident as a pros. It's not
Right.
his first incident though,
Right.
and people were worried about him. That's one of the reasons why he fell to us,
He fell. Right.
because people were very, very high on him until he ended up uh, in the situation or in these situations in college at USC. So, my thoughts are hopefully, like you said, I hope it's a one-time thing. It wasn't one of those things where the cops were like, yeah, you were high and you were doing something wrong. It wasn't one of those things. He got into an accident. The cops showed up. They went into the car and they were like, oh, it was the car with the gun was loaded and accessible. Well, first of all, he's got a lot of money, or he's got some money, and he's a target. So I'm not against him having a gun. First of all, we all have the right to have
Especially nowadays. Yeah,
any
exactly.
level of arms to protect ourselves. And he has more money than most of us have, and more, he's a target. So I'm not against him protecting himself. And it might have been accessible because the car rolled over and it fell out of wherever it was. So to me, that's kind of sketchy too. But my thoughts were, you have to protect yourself, homie. Um, you're way as valuable as I view him as, just as a basketball player.
Right.
He's much more valuable to his family, and I'm sure his mom, his pops, his brothers, cousins, whatever he has on that scale, would like to see him
Well, and then
continue on.
let's hope this doesn't turn into an Antonio
And that's
Callaway
that's
type
all.
situation.
That's all. I
You
can
know,
say whatever I want in terms of
if
what
it
I think,
happens,
but the
if it
truth
starts
is,
showing a pattern, then we need to be
yeah,
concerned. But this one time, I'm like, all right, young man,
yeah. And
this is
look,
what happened. Let's see what
absolutely, bro.
happens going forward.
That's exactly what I said. I said, hey, man, just understand your worth, understand your value. Let's not make this a habit, because, to be honest with you, we haven't had these problems here in Cleveland for a while with on any of our teams. To be completely honest, we've never really had a lot of problems with the Indians players
No, I mean, but
outside
we went through the
outside of
whole Josh
Albert Bell.
Gordon.
Look, outside
Yeah,
of Albert Bell, but
but that was years ago, man. That's
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's 30 years ago.
that's been so long. And then
We
the
had the Josh
Cavs,
Gordon
we had with
thing.
Josh. Josh was every other day. You thought something was going on with
Something
Josh.
was going on. Then with Callaway, but
Man, I forgot about Callaway. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
Like that dude had so much talent and upside, and he couldn't
right.
figure it out.
But with
So
the
yeah,
Cavs, not so much, like you're saying.
the
So
Cavs, it really ain't. The Cavs have always kind of been, especially and even when we had bad guys or quote unquote bad guys, like the J.R. Smiths, Deion Waiters could have been considered a bad guy at certain points. But again,
I hadn't heard it. We didn't hear about him getting in trouble off the
yeah, he
court.
didn't get it. Yeah,
He
he
was
was
maybe more so he wasn't meshing in the locker room,
right, right,
with some guys,
right,
but nothing as
right,
far as him getting into trouble.
right.
So
That was about it.
we'll see
Like, I
what
mean, you
happens.
hear those stories, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Like you just don't you hear the stories, but you don't see the out loud or the upfront effect of what they're doing. And I'm
Right.
fine with that. Like, if we got 15 people in a bubble, and not to include the coaching staff, and not to include the training staff. That's 35, 40 people potentially. And yeah, I'm probably not gonna get along with every goddamn body.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
It's a fact of life.
Yeah,
You know,
it's okay.
nature. So
It's okay. So listen, let me ask you this question, bro.
Yeah.
So I've been hearing a lot of trade rumors since we're on the NBA. I've been hearing a lot of trade rumors. I've been hearing a lot of movement rumors. What do you think about this James Harden potentially going to Brooklyn deal? Because James Harden has come out openly and said, that would be great. That's something I'm looking forward, to, and I would welcome.
The only way that works is like one of the three has to take a back seat.
Then who the hell is that going to be?
That's what I'm saying. It could. I mean, like, my LeBron, Bosh, Wade made it work. Paul Pierce.
I think this is bigger than that.
That's what I'm saying. It is. So, like, the only way a big three works is when somebody has to take a different role. Like, all right, Golden State, for example. There, you know what? When Durant got there, it was a little bit different because they put up so many shots. There was such a high volume scoring team that everybody ate.
Yeah,
maybe that's a bad example. And then Draymond really took a backseat. I mean, Draymond went all the way. He became a facilitator strictly,
but
with that team.
I mean, but the expectation for Draymond wasn't always to be the 20 and 10 guy.
That is true. But even as far as just being in the spotlight, period,
he was always going to be the expendable guy.
He was always. The only way. You know what? Personally, I cannot stand James Harden's game. It pains me to watch. It pains me to watch James Harden play basketball.
I hate it because it's all ISO. Like one of the reasons why I dislike watching LeBron at times is because he has to. LeBron could probably average 40 points a game, but he would never be able to do it within an offense. LeBron has to ISO so that he could do whatever that, dribble out the clock for 22 and a half seconds and then take that step back jump shot.
Which he hasn't done as much of.
You must have known where I was going. You must have known I was getting ready to go there. Like what I saw this particular season, and what I saw in the bubble, more specifically. I saw less of that and more of LeBron being efficient at whatever he was doing. But he's a better shooter now, too. So there are things that are working more for him that wasn't maybe necessarily working as well in the past. So I'm starting to see that. Not that he's, just playing to appease me, but I'm starting to see that. But I'm starting to see that. I'm starting to see him evolve. And I just said this on another on another thread on Facebook. Like his IQ, his cerebral play, he's always been an uber cerebral guy. But where he is right now is incredibly higher than wherever he was when he could dunk on you from 10 feet away from the basket. You know what I mean? Like he's playing at a smarter level, period. That's just who LeBron is. And but think about it. When Kobe was 36, when Mike was 36, what were they doing?
They all had to change their games.
They had
became more of a jump shooter.
Yeah, Mike was in the midst. When you go back and look at the first three-peat, Mike was the guy on the Jordan, on the iconic emblem on the Jordan thing, for Air Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
The mic that came back from baseball was this back to the basket, I'm gonna give you this shake and then shoot over my right shoulder and mid-range you to death guy. It was different. Mike was different. Kobe, when he first came into the league, man, I would have stood back 20 feet from Kobe and let him just shoot all night. Because he ain't hitting that. He might hit a couple of them, but he ain't hitting that. I ain't worried about that. Guess what? The Kobe that ended his career as an NBA player, what? That dude is going to shoot your lights out from the mid-range because he had that same Mike back to the basket move, the pump fake and, all that. He was quick. He saw the double team coming. He was always very, what's the word? He was very aware of what was happening, whether he had the ball in his hands or not. Kobe
Right.
was just so aware. His IQ was so off the charts. LeBron's IQ has always been off the charts. Like
Right.
Magic's IQ has always been off the charts. Bird's IQs have always been off the charts. Isaiah, off the charts.
Off the
And
chart.
certain people.
Well, you know what? Well, let's do this. Since we're going to do our podcast watching the draft, let's do our NBA talk during that because we're going to need fill in between picks, to discuss everything. So let's, what I'm saying, that way we can, because the hot stove should be heating up a little bit more with some more trade rumors and stuff like that.
Right. We got a
kind
couple
of
days
have,
for that. Yeah, because you might get some stuff. Yeah,
so we
you're
can
right.
kind of have an NBA day.
You're right.
Podcast. But to answer your question, I would hate to see Harden go to Brooklyn right now. I don't think that fits.
I don't think that would work for Brooklyn. And as a Kyrie fan, I absolutely, that was the first thing I asked myself. What you just asked me, which is who's going to defer? Who's trying to defer?
Right.
Harden
if Harden can play,
Harden wants the ball. He wants to be the controller. But how does that work for KD? How does that work for Kyrie? And I think Kyrie,
like if Harden was able to play off the ball or something like that, if he's willing to change his game like that,
he can't play off the ball.
I don't see him doing that.
That's the thing. I don't know if he can play off the ball right.
Right.
And I don't think that's what he wants to do. I think he wants to go there to almost replace Kyrie type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
That's
think
just my thought.
And if they're smart, they won't do that. But we can yeah, man, we can definitely
why don't we do that?
We can have an NBA show.
Why don't we do that
on Wednesday?
So give me 2 seconds. Sean, can you carry the show? Thank some folks and all that stuff because I want to do some business shout outs, but I have to grab something real quick. So let me
go right ahead.
All right.
All right. So while RP is getting prepared for that, so as we said earlier on Wednesday during our podcast, what you guys will probably hear either late Wednesday or early Thursday morning, we're going to do an NBA show since the Wednesday is the NBA draft. We'll give you, our analysis as the picks happen. So we'll probably, be on the air probably for at least the lottery portion of the draft. So that's what the first 10 picks. And then we can kind of give you our thoughts. Right now, I think the Cavs have the 5th pick. I'm not sure who we can get a value at that point in time because normally, especially the way the one and dones are now in college, unless you got like a top 3 pick, everything else is a crapshoot after that. Not saying that you can't find a diamond in the rough later in the draft, but normally that doesn't happen. So it'll be interesting to see what the Cavaliers do, with that 5th pick. If I have my choice, the young man Toppin out of Dayton, I think he's like a 6'10" power forward, very athletic. That would be my choice.
If he's still there,
right now, if he's still there. Now there are some mock drafts that does have him falling to the Cavaliers. So if we actually able to pull that off, then I would be very, very pleased with that.
Yeah,
So
I think
Ryan,
that's what I'm thinking. Topping at
yeah.
5 if he's there. I
Other than
think we
that,
need some
if we
size.
don't get him, it'll probably be some guy from Europe or one of these
They
guys.
need size. We need size. I think
Yeah, we do.
that somebody
Definitely need
else
size.
with some size, I think that kind of would signal the end to Tristan. But we'll get more a little more into that maybe on Wednesday as we put our show out on Wednesday, our midweek show, and so we'll get more specific about that then. So before we get out of here, because we're getting ready to get out of here, I think you good, Sean. You think you got anything else you wanna bring
No,
up,
I'm
or
I'm
anything I
good.
might have missed?
No, sir. I think we
So
covered everything today.
first of all, shout out to the Cleveland Browns, and actually a big
Six
shout
and
out
three.
to Kevin Stefanski and his coaching staff for pretty much orchestrating what we thought we needed, but we haven't seen this happen in Cleveland for a long time, where you have a coach that maybe came into the game with an understanding of one thing, saw what was happening, and was able to just stick to the script. Like, yo, this ain't gonna work today. And that's one of the criticisms I gave him against the Raiders. So again, Kevin, great freaking job. Applause, all that stuff, man. Great job. Um, so I'm happy my Browns are 6-3. I'm happy my Browns won. I still got guys giving me grief like we're 3-6 as opposed to 6-3, but they better check the doggone newspapers
Exactly.
and the .coms tomorrow because we 6-3, homie, and we right in your faces. So as we move forward to get rid of, or not get rid of, but to get out of here, first of all, I want to send a shout out to our Facebook and our Instagram pages, Two Guys and a Mic 216. Check us out, give us a look, give us a like, accept the invite if we've sent you one. And then once you accept the invite, also like our page on Facebook, but also follow us on Instagram and subscribe to us on YouTube. That's Two Guys and a Mic 216 on YouTube. And if you don't know where to find it or how to find it, we got a link right there in our link tree on our Instagram page. So check us out. We're here. We ain't going nowhere. Like I said, we're going to keep doing this, whether we got 100 fans, 100,000 fans,
Or one.
or whether we got no fans, because we have actually hit a stride, and I think we enjoy what we're doing. So we ain't going nowhere. Y'all don't have to deal with us. And that would be great. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're also on Spotify. We're on Anchor. Hit the link tree, man. Check out one of those links. Hit us up. So now that that's done, I got done with that really quick. I've never done that quick before. Never. This is how good of a vibe we're in now. I don't even have to waste time. I know what to say. I know how to get there. So one of the things that we want to do with our show is promote some local businesses, some local things that are happening around us, because we want to just promote the local community to keep some, the economy flowing. So one of the companies that I want to promote, I am drinking. I don't know if you guys saw me drinking earlier. I don't know how it's going to come out on the show. Sometimes we don't know. But I am drinking a Christmas ale, not your standard Christmas ale. This is Saucy Brews. I'm trying to get it right. There you go. Saucy Brews, 3 Hoes, Christmas ale. They are local. They are located on our west side on Detroit. Go check them out. If you're in a grocery store, pick up any saucy brew that you can find. Support them. Give them some love. Have some fun with it, because this is actually a very good drink. It may not be my absolute favorite, but it is very close to one of my favorite Christmas drinks. So if it ain't my favorite, it'll always be this one. Saucy Brew, like I say, on Detroit. It's on Detroit and going into Lakewood, or in Lakewood rather. And it's called Saucy Brews Three Hoes. Gotta love the three hoes. Excuse me one second. Apparently my daughter feels like she needs to interrupt me right now. Good night, baby.
Good night.
Love you.
Love you too. See you in the
Y'all
morning.
say good night to my daughter, Cameron. Also, before I get out of here, I have a bottle of coquito that my niece made for me, made for us here in the house. But my wife can't have any, so it's pretty much for me. If you don't know, coquito is uh, generally it's Puerto Rican eggnog. It doesn't always have alcohol in it. It can. However, she's making some, and it has. She's got different flavors. This is her regular kind of eggnog flavor. She also has chocolate. And she also has peanut butter. So you might want to check her out. She's on Facebook. If you guys are interested, hit me up and I will give you her information. I don't want to just put her out there like that. So hit me up, hit us up. You can hit us up email, 2guysandamic216 at gmail.com. You can hit us up on Instagram, inbox us on Facebook, and I'll give you the rest of her information. Thank you, Mia. I appreciate you and all that you do and all the hard work that you put in to pull this off. But yes, and these are available from during the holiday season. So it's from right now going into Thanksgiving all the way until I think she said until January 6th, right after Three Kings Day, which is a Puerto Rican holiday. So come get some. It's good. I wouldn't listen. I know she's my niece, but I wouldn't be promoting it if it wasn't worth it. So come check it out. Go check her out if you want some. If you're concerned about it, if you want to know how to get some, hit us up, inbox us, and I'll make sure that you get the information that you need to her. I just don't want to put her information on blast right now, so I don't want to do that. But inbox us, get at us. Also, again, check out Saucy Brew, Three Hoes. It's really good, and it is actually called Three Hoes. I don't know if you can read that when I put it up there, but it's Three Hoes, and it's Christmas ale, and it's very, very, very good. They're located on Detroit. Go check them out, man. So that's my local shout out for folks. I'm good. I actually feel pretty good because I've had at least two of these, so I'm on my third right now. And trust me.
Right.
Trust me.
It looks good. It looks refreshing. So I might have to head down there myself sometime this week and check out.
You can go listen. You can pick it up at the grocery store too.
Okay.
Saucy Brew, Three Hoes, man. It comes in a can. This damn virtual stuff is weird. So it's messing up everything. So I'm trying to put this in the right. Three Hoes. It's worth it, man. I tried it the other day when my wife and I went out for a date night, and I said, okay, I'll try it. If you like Christmas ale, you'll like this. It's really good. It's really good. You got anything else, homie?
No, man, I'm good. So I forgot to get my my plugs in for this week, but I'll definitely have some for Wednesday, because that is a good idea, man, to plug our local businesses and local entrepreneurs and stuff like that. Man, I got so much going on, man. My mind is going like 100 miles a minute, and that's something that I did forget to do.
No, that's all good.
I definitely have a bunch of people that I want to plug. So Wednesday, in our Wednesday midweek show, I will have my my shout outs to our local businesses.
No, that's all good, man. We'll keep plugging people, and honestly, we'll keep getting better at plugging because you remember when we first used to do our plugs for our Facebook and Instagrams and all that stuff. It took me like 2-3 minutes, man. I just did that in like 30 seconds.
Right.
So the more you do it, the more we do it, the
efficient.
more you'll get used to doing it. We'll get
Right.
used to saying it, and we'll get more sponsors and more sponsorships. We look forward to it. If you guys are out there and you want us to promote your stuff, you might feel like we don't have enough followership, but it could be y'all to help us get that followership. So let's help each
Exactly.
other. You know,
Word
let's
of
help
mouth
each
is
other.
key.
Word of mouth
is key.
Because we actually have a good followership. Like our Facebook page, we actually have like 400 followers on our Facebook page. So no, they might not like every picture we put up, but you know what? A lot of people aren't really into sports like that. So, it is what it is. We are
Right.
into
We'll
sports,
get there.
and we're gonna get there. And I'm not concerned, but I'm more concerned with putting out great content. And I'm also concerned about my community that I have to walk out in and that my kids have to grow up in. So I'm all about the local community. Again, Cleveland, not Akron, not all that other outside.
Not Brecksville.
Not Breaksville. Listen, man. I'm be honest with you. When I hear, I'm not gonna call out the names of these places or these stations, but when they say, "Oh, we're doing a tailgate for the Browns game, but we in a suburb," how's that? No, I want you to do that in Cleveland. Do it in Cleveland. We are the Cleveland Browns, right? And there are places to do that in Cleveland. Now, maybe there's something logistically going on that they can't do. But my thought process is always Cleveland, Cleveland, Cleveland. And that's just me. And maybe I'm so biased that I can't see the backstories that might be going on. But I'm always about Cleveland. So everything I do, I want to make sure that Cleveland and the local Cleveland area gets the pub and gets the love for that.
All right. Well, that wraps up another edition of Two Guys and a Mic. This is our Cleveland Browns Victory Sunday edition.
We're gonna have to start doing something else for Victory Sundays too.
Yeah, we need we gotta figure out a way to squeeze like some music in or something like that.
We gotta take a shot at something. We gotta do something.
Right. Yeah, definitely need to, incorporate some music, like bumper music between segments, or I know we can do that like on Anchor a little bit, but not so much like on YouTube. So
it's all good. We'll figure it out. Y'all stick with us. Y'all stay with us. I appreciate every last one of you guys. Whoever is watching, whoever clicks, whoever subscribes, whoever
definitely. We want to
streams. I don't care who you are.
Thank you for everybody that supports Just Period. Even
absolutely,
giving us, we've been getting some pretty good feedback, and we appreciate that.
Absolutely, man.
I love you, Ron. Hope you have a good start to your week tomorrow.
Love you, homie. I'll see you on Wednesday. We're gonna have a killer show on Wednesday, you guys.
Yes,
just
sir.
So you guys know, we're gonna have a killer show on Wednesday. Sean, get your stuff ready so we can figure out this draft thing, and we're gonna pretty much do our whole show around the NBA draft. That's what we're gonna do. So,
all right. You guys take care, and hope everybody out there has a good start to their week as well. Everybody be safe and have a good one.
Hey, the Browns are 6-3, so peace out. If y'all can't sleep good tonight, you ain't never gonna sleep good.
Exactly. All right,
love
man.
Y'all. Peace out, man. Peace. Love you.
Check you later.